Hello, how you doing? This is Chef B and welcome to my kitchen. Well, today we're going to make fermented cabbage. Now, cabbage is very good for you, and fermented cabbage is extremely beneficial for your health. Now, to make it, 2 ingredients: cabbage and sea salt. The salt has to be iodine free, no iodine, and the cabbage it has to be organic. Alright, so I've washed the cabbage, and what I'm going to do is take a knife and take off the leaves on the outside. You need a heavy knife. We're going to use these leaves later on. I'll show you. Now, the hardest thing to learn about making fermented cabbage is getting over your belief system, because we've been taught to believe that, you know, bacteria is bad for you, germs. You know, we've been taught to sterilize everything, we pasteurize everything, and we're basically killing our food. The microorganisms in our food help us digest the food. They break down the proteins, and they make it soluble, make it you know, just like plants do in a pot. You know, our gut is like a pot of soil, and we have to feed that gut with microorganisms. All right, now we've got a few layers off here. What I'm going to do now is cut this cabbage in half, almost in half. What I want to do is take the core out. So I just picked up this cleaver at one of those discount used stores. If I had to choose one knife to work with in the kitchen, it would be a cleaver. You could do anything with it. Alright, now next thing we got to do is slice up the cabbage. I prefer to slice it thin because there's more surface area that can absorb salt and, you know, release the moisture. What you know, the salt will draw the moisture out, and you're basically making a brine. So what we want to do is chop up a pound of cabbage. Now you can ferment just about any vegetable or even fruit, but the recipe is a pound of cabbage to about 2 teaspoons of sea salt. You can use kosher salt, any kind of sea salt, as long as it doesn't have iodine in it. This cabbage weighs a little over a pound, so I don't think we're going to have to do the whole thing. Okay, let's weigh it up. I never thought I'd be using these scales to weigh cabbage. We're going to weigh the container. You should always try to use, you should avoid using metal containers. So we're going to put this on the scale. First of all, I'm going to switch over to ounces. Oops. Well, once you know it, my scale fucks up in the video. I pressed hold and now it won't work. Okay. Well, this is not an exact science. But you should weigh it up about a pound with 2 teaspoons of salt. In the summer you may need a little bit more salt, you know. Salt is an inhibitor. It'll inhibit the bad bacteria from growing and, you know, keep a balance. Now this is very safe, you know. You're not going to get sick from this. If it goes bad, you'll know it. So anyways, what we're going to do is put the cabbage in this tub here. And I would say that's about a pound. And what we do is add 2 teaspoons of the sea salt. You don't have to add any culture in here or anything. You know, there's bacteria everywhere. It's on every surface, it's in the water, the food, all over you. In fact, microorganisms, they outnumber your cells 10 to 1. I mean, if you think you're just one organism, forget it. Okay, there are like 100 trillion microorganisms in your body, all working to keep you alive. So it's not a good idea, you know, to sterilize everything and to pasteurize everything, because you're killing the life force, you know. So once we get this cabbage in here and get it salted up, what you want to do is just work it. People say give it a massage. I don't know if I like that word, but just get in there and crunch it up. Right away you can feel the moisture coming out. You do this for a few minutes, and then you just let it sit for a little while. Maybe 10, 15, 20 minutes. Uh-oh. Of course you want to keep the kitchen clean, but it's not necessary to use all this antibacterial soaps and stuff. You're really just killing the ecology, your environment, the microorganisms that's necessary for life to happen, you know. And this is a big reason why this, you know, we're getting so sick in our society, you know. It's because we're attacking nature like it's our enemy. Basically, we're attacking ourselves. It's not it's not the germs that is the problem in us. It's the environment, the terrain. You know, if it's too acidic, or if it doesn't have oxygen or the microbes that you need, then your body's not going to function. You're going to get sick. So eating fermented foods is essential. right now. It's a natural way of getting probiotics into your gut. And you're going to be incorporating many different strains. And the more strains of bacteria you have, the healthier you'll be. The stronger you'll be to be able to, you know, thrive in your environment. You know, you can get probiotics. You can get yogurt, which I think has 2 strains. Dark chocolate is a probiotic. And also I started drinking kombucha. I bought this, it's made locally just down the hill. This is a ginger tea. I don't normally drink tea, but I love this stuff. It's great. Problem is, it's like $5 a jar. But you can make it yourself very easily for pennies a jar. At the bottom here you'll see is a little tiny scrog, and you can grow those and start making your own tea. Alright, we're going to let this sit for a while. Just let it sweat, and then we're going to jar it up. Hey, how you doing? Well, I think it's sweated up enough. Now you can get pretty fancy with this. You can add seasonings, spices, whatever you want. You know, the Thais, they make kombucha. No. Kombucha? No, that's the drink. But you can get real fancy with this stuff. But I'm just giving you the real basic recipe. Alright, now. There you go. It's I don't know if you can see the moisture or anything, but it's starting to change color, and I think we're ready to start packing it. I have a couple of clean jars here, and what I'm going to do is just fill them up. A little bit at a time, because you want to pack it down, and that'll help draw the moisture out of the cabbage. And you want to get all the air out of there, push the air out. You don't want any oxygen in there. This is an anaerobic process. One pound of cabbage is, probably enough to do 2 of these jars. It would be easier to work with if you left it a little longer. Now if you can see all the moisture coming up, the brine, a little bit more in here. You don't usually have to add any water, but if you do, just make sure that it doesn't have any chlorine in it. That will kill the bacteria. See all that water coming up there? That's what you want. Well, this stuff is very good for your digestive system. Like I said, it breaks down the proteins, makes it more soluble. And I know know from experience, since I've started on these probiotics, my digestive system has improved tremendously. Things don't get backed up. You know, things move down instead of up. You'll know if you're out of balance because, you know, all this stuff that's backing up will cause bad breath, the bacteria rising up rather than going down. Acid reflux, leaky gut syndrome, these are all signs of an imbalance with your microorganisms. Okay, let's fill it up a little more. I don't want to go too much because I want to leave room for the water. So if you squeeze it down enough, see all this brine? Okay, now what we do is we use these larger leaves. We just pull them like this, put them on top, and we use these leaves to keep everything down below the water level. Now, people have been doing this for thousands of years. They started doing it back in the day when we didn't have refrigeration. That's when they learned how beneficial it was as a food source. Okay, and then what I'm going to do, again, just to make sure everything stays under the water level, is put one of these in there. Now this stuff that we're putting on top, when it's done, there we go, you can see the moisture coming up there, and so when it's done, what we do is we just take this stuff off and discard it, because that, you don't want to eat that. Okay, and then we put the lids on. Okay, there you have it. 1 pound of fermented cabbage. Now, what you do is you leave it on the shelf, preferably in a dark place. At room temperature, around 75 degrees would be ideal. Leave it there for, oh, it could be as quick as 3 days, 5 days, average, sometimes 7 days. Just open it up and have a taste. If it's nice and tangy, then it's ready. Okay, so I made a batch last week, and the brine, it keeps producing brine, so what will happen is it will bleed out. I wouldn't worry about that, as long as it doesn't explode. I did, after the second day, loosen the cap a little just in case. But this stuff on top, you just discard that. And all the stuff on the bottom, oh, that smells good. It smells just like sauerkraut, but it's not a sauerkraut. It's not to be confused with sauerkraut. There's no vinegar in here. You don't put vinegar in here. That'll kill the microbes. So really, you only need about a teaspoon of this or a forkful of this with every meal. And that'll give you the microbes that you need, a lot of the microbes. Okay, I'm not going to double dip in here, but I just want to taste it. Oh, it smells great. hardest crowd I've ever had. Take her 7 to 8 days. You can keep it there fermenting. But 7 to 8 days is good. And then you put it in the fridge. Once you've opened it. I've got one in the fridge here. Well, it gets kind of hard to open. There we go. This is good too, but it's not as tangy as the it's not as good as the one that I left on the shelf for a full week. This was five days. That's great. Okay. I think I covered everything, huh? You gotta start eating fermented foods, man. You gotta get your microbes in your gut. The more you have, the healthier you're gonna be. You'll be able to, produce enzymes. These microbes also, they make vitamins for you, vitamin B. It helps with any disease because it cures your system. It's not the microbes that are the problem, it's the environment, your terrain. That's the problem. Your microorganisms. They'll take care of you if you take care of them. Alright, this is Chef Beast signing off. Hope you enjoyed the show. Don't forget to subscribe and check out my books at Amazon.com. Peace.